Welcome to Community with Closers. I'm your host, Pat Clark, and this is where closers are born. Get ready for high-energy stories, game-changing strategies, and the relentless pursuit of success. In each episode, we dissect the art of sealing the deal, celebrate triumphs, and explore the grit that defines salesmanship. This is the ultimate podcast for sales warriors ready to conquer the business battlefield. What's going on, guys? Thank you for coming back for another amazing Community with Closers. It's been an amazing week. I know you guys been really gearing up for this because we got an amazing guest. Super excited to have him on. But thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate everything you do. Tuning in, all the text messages, the messages. Loving what we got going on here, and we just want to bring the fire for you each week, every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again for joining us here on Community with Closers. But without further ado, I want to bring in my man, the myth, the legend, Josh Latimer.
What's up, Pat?
Dude?
It broke my brain. The intro, the production quality, your fancy graphics with all the tech gear and all the things. It makes me excited, man. This is top notch. Super excited to be here.
Dude, I learned from the best, man. I learned from the best. That's you.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm a perpetual student, as are you. Really proud of everything you've done, your whole backstory, the empire that you're building now, along with all the fancy secret things you're working on. And hopefully we can help people make a bunch more money using their brain, maybe over the next 30 or 45 minutes.
That's right. Yeah. So we're going to jump into it, but I want to kick off, man. So, let's hear from you. So let's kind of get a little backstory, where you're at now, and then, how you kind of got there, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Okay. Well, backstories can be really boring, but I'll tell you what I'm really good at doing. I'm good at helping people make a lot of money really fast using their brain instead of just their back. Doing very simple things that almost no one's ever thought of. That's what I do. The backstory is started off really poor, lived in a trailer park. I was a pizza delivery driver. So shout out to any pizza delivery drivers out there. My mom always said, Josh, don't despise humble beginnings. I didn't really listen because at the time I totally despised my humble beginning. I was like, this sucks. Got into the cleaning business in my early 20s, went bankrupt, had cars repossessed, really just had no idea what I was doing. First entrepreneur in my family, just like a lot of people can relate to, and through a gradual process of pain and suffering and God's providence, figured some things out. We've built and sold, 4 companies at this point. I'm involved in software and consulting. Built some coaching programs. I just love people. My wife and I love entrepreneur families. That's where our heart beats, is for entrepreneur family. If you're married and you have a business and you have a kid or 2 or 3, like, you're crazy. And those 3 things mixed together is very challenging. So we like to talk about how to win in those circumstances.
Dude, it's epic, man. Epic. I mean, I've been out to your facility. We've shot video, right? Like, yeah, it's on point. And what you're doing, you know what I mean, with the community and bringing families in and family entrepreneurs, it's epic, dude, what you got going on there.
I think entrepreneurs are the most important people in the world. And I don't mean that to be like condescending if you're not an entrepreneur. I mean, logically, they're the most important people in the world because we're the creators of stuff. Like, everything that we enjoy, every kind of innovation is really the result of an entrepreneur somewhere taking a risk, doing something, innovating, creating something, selling something. Myron Golden has this amazing teaching about sales, because a lot of people feel really icky selling, but you got to realize that every dollar in every single human being's pocket on the entire planet is the result of one person selling something to another person. All the dollars in all the pockets. And then sometimes people argue with that and they're like, well, that's not true. Yeah. What about, government dollars? Yeah. But that's still the result of somebody selling something to someone. And then the government takes a rip on it. They, tax it. Right. So sales is the lifeblood of the whole earth, and maybe we should have a moment of silence for entrepreneurs like William Carrier, who invented the air conditioner. Okay. Let's just a moment of silence for that guy. I love that guy. I mean, we're building things, we're selling things, we're hiring people, we're world changers, we're family tree changers, we're curse breakers. If you think that's cheesy, maybe you're just not as passionate as me, but I literally think that's what we do, is help people like that, man. Like, you have a
Yeah.
bunch of kids, you're changing the world. I'm here for it.
No, I remember when you said too, like, it's all good deed tokens. And
Yeah.
that's exactly right. And it's like empowering others. And, that jumps into, a sales team, right? And like how we have to replicate our efforts because we can't do it all, right?
We certainly can try. I watch lots of people try. I've certainly tried. I almost went bankrupt a second and a third and a fourth time trying to do that. It's hard, man, because especially, business in a way is art. And like,
Mhm.
you want to share your art with the marketplace, and so we take really seriously like the technical perfection of the thing that we do, or the exact way that we build rapport, build relationship, and we never sell something to someone they don't need. And we have this standard for ourselves.
Mhm.
If we try to scale or build a team, they're not going to meet the exact standard. So there's a whole discussion we can have about this, but I heard it said one time that everyone you hire will do exactly what you do, but a little bit less. And
Mhm.
so you do want to have a high standard, right? Because when you get 3 or 4 layers deep, you want like level 3 guys best to still be better than the competition, right? So we want to have a high standard, but that doesn't mean we should hold on to perfection. Sometimes I ask people, would you rather have a $10 million business with a 3.1 Google star rating? And they kind of cringe, like, or I'll say 2.9. Let's do 2.9. $10 million in revenue, 22% EBITDA, 2.9 stars. Would you choose that, or would you choose a $1 million business with a 4.9? And honestly,
Mhm.
some people choose the littler business because they can't deal with the fact that things are imperfect with a thing that scales bigger.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger one's better. And it's not because of money. It's because look how many more jobs you've created, how much more opportunity you've created. Look at the impact economically to the whole community. So I think we need to abandon the perfection and go
Yeah.
for it.
I'm with you 100%. And the cool thing is too, like that, all that stuff is fixable, right? You can improve. Like if you have the bigger business, you don't have to go for perfection, but you can always do the one thing. Like, how can we make our service better, right? Like on the sales side, if you have a bigger business and your ratings down low, guess what? It's all fixable stuff. Whereas
Yeah,
if you don't have those,
it's easier to fix stuff on the back end sometimes than it is a front end. And the reason why is because basically people prepare in perpetuity, and they're always enhancing and improving in perpetuity, meaning they're always making it a little bit better, but they're never going anywhere. And,
Mhm.
that's very dangerous for a whole bunch of reasons. You could get sick. Brandon Vaughn famously talks about the bus factor, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't have a team, you have a bus factor of 1, and if something happens to you, you have no money. Your money's all go bye-bye. So from a
Yeah.
protect your family perspective, getting a team in place, even though it's not perfect, um, it's really like an insurance policy in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And like when you're working on those, I don't know, the tasks that you can pay somebody hourly to do. And I heard this saying the other day, and it was like you need to focus in your zone of genius. So like when you're in your business, and you probably can say this a lot better than I can, but you're doing the thing, but you really need to sit back and work on your business, not in your business, and work on the things that are driving your business tomorrow, not the thing today.
I think people kind of generally understand all these types of comments. They're like, yeah, I got to have a goal. I've worked with over 1,000 people personally. I stopped counting in like 2019. So it's been a lot of people. And what I've noticed is the big problem isn't goal setting or a system. It's not even a sales problem. It's all head trash stuff, to be honest. And Alex Hormozy told me one time, do you really need me to tell you, Josh, or do you already know, but you're just not doing it? I had met him briefly and had breakfast at a hotel with him before he got internet famous. And I was making small talk and I said, Alex, you got any workout tips for me? What do you think? Give me some workout tips. And I'm eating a waffle, like pouring syrup on the waffle. And hey, I'm not in shape. I'm A shape. Okay. I am like the poster child of dad bod over here. But he looks at me with his jacked Alex Hormozy arms and he goes, Josh, do you really need workout tips, or do you already know, but you're just not doing it? And it was kind of a truth nuke. The thing is he was totally right. And so ever since then, I don't think people have like an information problem or a goal. I do think it's true that people don't know what they want. Most people I work with tend to easily identify what they don't want, but they don't know what they want. I'll say things like, "What do you want?" And they're like, "Well, I don't want to struggle anymore." I'm like, right. And I think the reason that happens, and not to get too esoteric, but I think this is a very big deal for people to understand. If you're not running towards something, you're probably running away from something. And a lot of entrepreneurs start their company to quit their boss, or because they just have that little rebellious streak in them. They're like, you're not the boss of me. And so they want to be the boss of themselves. And they get stuck for like 15 years with a relatively small company. And it's really thinking like this that makes people unstuck. You know, it's like looking at your identity, what you feel worthy of, getting clear on what you think you're aiming at. Is it even worth it? You know, and once that's clear, I think the other stuff's easier because the information's out there, Pat, right? Isn't it? It's out there. It's not 1992, you know.
Yeah.
Everything we could all want to learn is available somewhere, but why don't we do it?
I know. It's tough. And sometimes, you know, you get stuck in that, right? Like, why don't we do the thing? Yeah. I mean, I've talked to a lot of guys and it's like, it's right there in front of you. Why don't you just do the thing? And there's a lot of reasons, right? They're afraid, like you said, it's all the head trash, why they're not doing the thing, or they're making an excuse like, you know, you can't do that in my market or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's all rooted in fear. Fear is the underlying thing. So like fear of loss, fear of scarcity, fear of not being worthy. It's all this childhoody fear stuff. Even people that are really arrogant, they have an attitude that think they're amazing. You know, we know some of these guys in different home service industries that just think they're amazing. That's also rooted in fear. You know, I view adults as pretty much exactly the same as middle schoolers, except we're better liars. So like I picture adults walking around, and myself included, walking around with an umbilical cord in their hand, like looking for someone with more certainty than they have to plug it into. And they're like, oh, Andy Elliott, oh God, please help me, right? Like, give me my identity. Tell me who I am. Tell me that I'm worthy. Give me the secret that's been hidden from me. Well, has there really been a secret hidden from you for real? Or are you just not doing what you already know to do? And you're not doing that because of FOPO, fear, overwhelm, procrastination, overthinking, right? I think we can all relate with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been there. You know what I mean? I've been there. And sometimes it is somebody that's from the outside, because you might be in the weeds and you just need that one person to be like, you know what I mean? Like, why aren't you doing the thing? You're like, crap, what the heck? Why am I not doing the thing?
Yeah.
You know, I've had that for sure. So let me ask you this. So, you know, with companies now, right? So we got a lot of people on right now. We're talking about the marketing. We're talking about the sales. So, you know, if you got guys that are, you know, looking at getting salespeople or really wanting to step up their sales game, I know you were like the marketing man, right? And so what are some things that they can do, you know, in the next week, if you will, right? That they can maybe work on to get them to the next, you know, stage?
I'll give you really good stuff that's actionable right now. Like for real. It's very simple, but it will make money for people fast. It's called FRAP. So before I explain what FRAP is, though, there's really three things all of us need to level up for our bank account and business to level up. It's the right mindsets, the right skill sets, and the right network. Okay. The right mindset, skill sets, and network. MSN, mindset, skill sets, network. And, you know, what we just talked about in the first 10 minutes was kind of mindset stuff. You know, who am I? Am I all that? That stuff's really, really important. It's a limiter for a lot of people. And then you have skill sets. They just want the information. So I'll give you some information. One of the frameworks I use if I do consulting for a big company, even outside of the home service industry, is called FRAP. I named it FRAP. It's not something that I made up. It's something that you can observe when you start looking at lots of businesses. And it's an acronym for frequency, referrals, average ticket, and your price. Okay. Just remember that if someone takes notes: frequency, referrals, average ticket, and price. Briefly, what frequency means is how can we take any business and get the people that pay the business money to pay them money more often? Okay, Jay Abraham's one of the most famous business consultants in the world. He costs like $50,000 a day plus a royalty to work with you on your business. You know, he says there's only three ways to get customers. You get new customers, or you get more money from your current customers, or increase frequency. That's what he says. And he's right, because it's a fact. If you sell snow cones in Costa Rica and you can sell more snow cones per customer per day, then that's great. That's frequency. So for a service company, that means having way more re-engagement campaigns with past customers throughout the year. Doesn't mean you have to drive people crazy, but we want to think of logical justifications on why we need to reach out more often with either a cross sell or an upsell or a resell. And we should be thinking about this all the time because it's free money. You know, a lot of people spend tons of money on like direct mail and give it to Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook ads and all this stuff. Well, we want to do Frap first. So I'll keep going through Frap, but before you even spend money on paid ads, use your brain and look at your business through the lens of Frap. Like, what can I do? And am I maximizing the increasing frequency, right? Do I actually follow up? Do I have a logical reason? I'll give you an example. Maybe you send an email campaign and you tell people, hey, you know, we're looking for 15 homes to do a such and such service on. We just hired 2 new people, and we're also looking for a media release so we can use before and after pictures. And so we really like your home. I'm not sure if it's a good fit for you, but let us know because we can throw in this bonus. And don't worry, the new guys will be supervised by our veterans. Let me know if you're interested. That type of a campaign is totally fundamentally different than what most people do. Most people send out a MailChimp with a 10% off coupon once.
Yeah.
The first rule of frequency is we never send one anything. You send a campaign, right? And you can have 2-sentence emails over 3 days that convert 15 times bigger than your 10% off coupon. And this type of thinking is like frequency, right? Does that make sense so far? You picking up what I'm throwing down? And then we move to referrals. You see, referrals, people don't get it either because we're so close to it. You know, I think all of our IQ goes down about 100 points when we're working on our own business. We become total idiots, including me. It's like, we're so close to it, right? Frap's awesome because you can just zoom out and look at it and like dissect it. But referrals does not just mean your customers telling their Aunt Sally to call you. That's important. Do that. Have a 6 or 8 touch point referral thing. Make it consistent. Incentivize your team. Do all the things that everybody says to do. But the real money in referrals is building joint venture marketing partners or some sort of other source of lots of deal flow to you. So I know you did a lot of work with property managers, right? Yep. So you built a reputation and made millions of dollars through that channel. That's an R in Frap, F-R-A-P. Referrals. That's a referral well, right? And it's like an oil well, you know, because once you spin it up, once you have an authentic relationship, if you have, we call it a dream 100 list, right? But who are the 100 people that you wish you were best friends with so they could send you deals every day while you're sleeping? These people already exist. How do we become best friends with them? How do we stay organized with them? How do we, you know, buy them coffee and like play the long game? Because you know, with my service company, we had one relationship that turned into a $315,000 a year cleaning account with General Motors that lasted years, like way after I sold my company. It was millions and millions through one guy. That's R, right? And so imagine you have a $500,000 business and you want to hit $1 million and you don't even do paid marketing, but you increase your frequency by 15%. You increase it, your R, so that 15% of your revenue is coming from a referral source. Your average ticket goes up by 15% and you raise your prices by 15%. I don't have time to do the math right now, but if you have a $600,000 business, it does over $1 million just by moving these needles 15% each. And 15% is little. You know, when it comes to average ticket, we can talk about decoy offers and high ticket back end offers and Ascension, the way that you present your packages. What do you present first? How do you load up your packages? How do you use risk reversal in a clever way through guarantees? How do you create a foot in the door offer to then ascend them with the high ticket? These are all skill sets. I know I'm talking fast, but these types of things fundamentally change the economics of your business, regardless if you're even doing advertising, because you're doing over $1 million just from increasing this, right? I know that was a lot.
Well, that's so good. And so I want to, you know, dive into there because, you know, but Josh, my business, I don't have people to be able to touch those people over and over and over again, right? They're like, but I'm not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. So nobody's ever done improving their Frap. This is a game you can't win. It's what's known as an infinite game. You see, the goal isn't to I did it. I did Frap or I did business. No. The goal is to keep playing the game. So you use what's in your hand. If you look at the Bible stories and the parable of the talents, like we have to steward what you already have. And I promise that everybody watching this could do a little more with what they already have. You might not have a team. You might not be able to make a fancy video and have 50 email sequences, but you could do one clever email sequence. You could do that once a month. You could reach out to one Dream 100 person a week, right? These are not impossible things, right? And you never win. You keep playing. Marriage is an example of an infinite game. The purpose of marriage isn't to win. It's to stay married. The purpose of FRAP is to keep improving it. Can I get it 1 more percent? Can I get it 3 more percent? Can I get it 5 more percent? And when you're mindseted like that, crazy stuff happens. And everybody that has a huge company thinks like that. I mean, you got to start looking for the clues. Success leaves clues. There's a reason that all the really big successful people are obsessed with numbers and sales and marketing and cleverness and asymmetrical thinking. That's what they do. That's why they get all the money. That's why there's 15 people that have 5% of the business in a market, and Tommy freaking Mello, who takes 95% of the money in the market, because he has great mindsets. He walks with certainty. He's a man on a mission who is forward focused. He's not running away from anything. He's running towards something. He has incredible skill sets, which are only developed, by the way, through volume.
That's huge. They're developed. Yeah.
He has thousands of reps doing specific stuff, measuring it. And then his network's unbelievable, and it's exploding even more. He will be a billionaire, but it's not shocking why he's so much bigger than everybody else. It's because of that. It's because of what we're talking about.
That's right. And I love what you said too, is because, when you're talking about marketing, you're talking about, spending, right? And like, you have to have that, willingness to be able to put towards your marketing, right? And people are like, well, I'm winning because I'm only spending 2% in marketing. And I'm like, no, you're not. Because like, you still have that cost that associates with your business, right? Like your lead cost. So if I know that I'm underneath my lead cost, I'm doing good, right? And then I'm going to spend more money. So like if I'm spending $3,200, say right now, a month, and then I'm not spending it over here, but I'm going to move it now over here to what is working, but I'm still spending that $3,200, but I'm getting more quality leads. So what happens is some people will, well, it's not working there. We'll save that money. And you're shooting yourself in the foot because you want more leads to grow that business. So for you, Josh, what are you thinking on that level?
Well, just as a disclaimer, because people are watching this from all levels, right? I don't want to talk over or under, but it depends a little bit. Dan Kennedy famously says that whoever can afford to spend the most to acquire a customer wins. And this is a huge mind shift for a small business, because what we're always trying to do when we have a small company is, how do I acquire customers cheaper? And that's okay if you have a really good way that's cheap to acquire customers. That's great, but that shouldn't be what you're optimizing for. The mind shift is, how do I make my customers more valuable? How do I make them so much more valuable than my competitor that I can spend 3 times as much to acquire and still win? Because now I'm playing a game that he can't even play. And this is the game that big thinkers are doing, right? But the other thing, the reason I said it depends, is in the beginning of a business, we have to consume what we kill. And there's a lifestyle that's involved with your revenue of your business. And so if you're making 75 grand a year at a place and you start a company and you make 76,000 in revenue, probably all of it went into your pocket because you didn't even move up. It was a lateral move now, but at least now you're your own boss, right? And what happens is, as we do start to scale up, we start letting our lifestyle go with the revenue growth. My advice to people, just because of my own pain and suffering, you just have to take my word for it, is don't do that. Don't do that. Do what's called a lifestyle lock. Like, pick the number that you need to consume and leave it alone for a few years. And what this allows you to do is, it allows you to start looking at the money in your business as capital, not money. You get to start playing monopoly money. It feels like house money in a way. So what I mean is, let's say that a business has to do 500,000 in revenue so that the owner can suck out 100K. Okay. And so he has to be careful doing too much marketing, because he won't make his 100K. He has to do boots on the ground marketing, more frequency based marketing. He has to be clever to kind of make sure he gets what he needs for his lifestyle. Right. But then let's say that the business does 700,000 that year. The real acceleration comes on what you do with that extra 200,000 in revenue off the top, right? because that extra gross margin is monopoly money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't view it this way, but you could theoretically spend all of your gross margin on everything above the lifestyle lock number, just acquiring customers as fast as you can. I hope
Mm-hmm.
that's not confusing, but you see, that's what people do when they start growing really, really, really fast, is they're reinvesting capital. And when I'm coaching or working with people individually, I really emphasize calling it capital instead of money, just as a thought exercise, because it's not money, it's capital. It's just a tool. It's oxygen for the business. You get to move it like a chessboard on the table, and you'll do something and it doesn't work. And you're like, huh, but you learned something, and then you do it
Yeah.
again. And if you're playing with money you don't need to buy groceries with, it feels totally different. And so, in summary, I'm sorry I'm rambling. I think
Good.
that I understand why the small company is like, I need to save money on market because of the fear, because they're not even at the lifestyle lock level yet. They're not making enough. And
Yeah.
it's hard.
And that's what I wanted to get to. Exactly that is because it does. It goes back to the fear, right? And if you're thinking about it in capital, and I did this, right? It was like, okay, shoot, we need to buy another truck, right? And where does that money come from? Is your capital to go to the next phase.
Yeah.
And it is.
Like, it
It's
feels like a bottomless pit, does it not? I mean, service
yeah.
businesses are very difficult. Let's just
Mhm.
say let's say the quiet part out loud. Service businesses are complicated. Period. There's a reason that your favorite, guru sold their company. And it's not because a service business is bad. It's because there's limited leverage in it compared to certain other types of businesses. Like
Mhm.
when I sold my company and started doing software, that was really hard and it almost made me go bankrupt and it was awful, but it turned out being okay in the long run. But the reason I did that is because I want more leverage.
Yeah.
Service is difficult. Most people are not built like Tommy Mello, Pat. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh yeah.
Most people are just not. They're not fighter jets. They don't work 8 days a week, 26 hours a day with total focus, with extreme certainty, right?
Mhm.
So the game for those people is getting good at your numbers, right? Getting in control, getting around people ahead of you, building community, and doing the basic hard things of like knowing your cost per lead, like Pat said, your average ticket, figuring out the gap between where you need to be so your baseline is okay and where you are, and doing it as fast as possible, doing anything required as
Yeah.
fast as possible.
Yes. That's gold, man. Gold. I love that. But yeah, I mean, that's what it is. And it is leveling up each time because you got to change, right? As that business owner, I've talked about this before on the show, is like, when I started changing and I started like, looking at in from a CEO lens and I started looking at the numbers and I was like, oh, Clip Flyers are actually doing way better than I thought they were, right? And then I started, leveling up that. And as I leveled up my team, I leveled up too because I had to become a better leader, right? And I think teaching that's where the mastery happens, right? And like as you're doing it, you're in that business, that mastery isn't quite there until you really start teaching. And I know you've taught and you've done coaching, right? And would you agree with that? Is like that's when the mastery really happens.
Oh my gosh. One of the best ways to learn is to teach. So
Yeah.
there's two ways to look at this. Some people say those who can't do teach. And I think that's true. Like that you can go on Instagram and there's like 21-year-old life coaches. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Do we need that? Is that even okay? Anyway, but there's also this other truth about, learning while you're earning and being a mentor and having a mentor. Even my 17-year-old son spoke at a small event we had here at the studio, and he was talking about some of the three biggest lessons he's learned so far at 17. And one of them was how he started teaching before he was ready, because we made this little product for kids called the Kid War Plan, and he made these training videos, and these videos were on topics that he didn't understand, but he was forced to achieve mastery of the topic to make the video, to give it to thousands. Like, we sold those in all 50 states and 19 countries. It was crazy. It was a family project. And so all these kids all over the world were learning from him. And he wasn't a fraud. He was just re-articulating. I'll give you an example. Like if I told you, Pat, read this book, and in 30 days from now, I'm going to give you a quiz to quiz you on how much of that book you retained, right? Let's just pretend for argument's sake that you remember 30% of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question. If I gave you that same book and told you had to give a keynote presentation to 1,500 people 30 days from now about the context of that book, how much more of a percentage would you retain?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? 95% or something?
Yeah, I'd probably be at 90.
Yeah. And the reason why is because when you're helping other people, that's why I'm a fan of small group accountability, people helping
Mhm.
each other as they go, because when you have to re-articulate your own ideas, it makes you closer to mastery. It's a big
Yes.
deal.
Yeah. And why not start with your team, right? Like when you start doing that stuff and you're running sales meetings, and I know we're getting up on time here, we're right at 9 o'clock, but with meetings, I want to talk a little bit about that because you want to run a meeting, a meeting that you can do from Traction and they have a great little outline for you. But when I started doing meetings, I had to make meetings fun, right? Because nobody's like, oh no, another freaking meeting. And by the way, you're changing up the system again, putting a new document in or whatever it was. And so when I was doing those meetings, you're selling your dream, your vision. And so, when you were doing meetings and stuff, I know, with your companies and stuff like that, what was that like?
Well, it's a learning process. I think that communication is a superpower, and I also think the word communication is a dangerous word because people think they know what it means.
Mm,
People's brain shuts off and like, oh yeah, communication, yeah, I know that. It's like, do you? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because even Socrates said the only thing I know is that I know nothing. And what
mm,
that means is that the more you know, the more hyper aware you should become that you know nothing relative to all there is to know, right? But that's a different discussion. What I mean is choreographed, powerful communication is a superpower. And if you can become a magnetic person who can speak life into people, if your emotional intelligence can go up and you can read people, not manipulate people, understand people, if you become a better listener, a better presenter, everything in your life gets easier. All of it, all of it. We have a saying that says, everything is marketing and marketing is everything. We have stickers, it's on clothes. My kids say it. And what that means to us is that everything in life is a form of communication, whether you realize it or not. So when I'm parenting my daughter and she does something naughty, the way that I do it is marketing. So if I tell Judah, and Judah was a stinker last week, I gotta admit, she's adorable. I love her, but she's being naughty. I said, Judah, no, thank you. That's one version of communication. Or if she does something naughty, I can grab her hand, walk her into the kitchen, pick her up, sit her on the counter, calmly get down on her level and say, Judah, what you
mm.
did was not acceptable. You see, that's not the same thing as the first thing. So the way
Yeah.
you run a team meeting, the way you pre-frame stuff, the way you future pace stuff, this is a big topic, but I'm
Yeah.
excited about it because for a service company owner, if you want to get free, if you want to make a lot of money, if you're really serious, start working on your communication. And there's a great Myron Golden training on YouTube called The 4 Levels of Value. And you should go immediately watch it 3 times and take notes. And the super long story short of it is the lowest form of value creation is implementation. And what that means is that you're very limited. You have limited leverage when you're an implementer. If you're the person digging the hole or doing the thing, the level above that is called unification. This is management. See, management is also not the same thing as leadership, but management is leverage. Running an EOS meeting is leverage, but that's a management thing. Above that is communication. So again, you have implementation, unification, communication, and the highest form of value creation is imagination, being a dreamer, thinking big, right? Living in the future, seeing it in 4K, surrounding yourself in implementers so you can these are the Walt Disneys of the world, right? But even in your small business, you are behaving in one of these levels of value every single day. When you go
Yeah.
wash a house, you're behaving as an implementer. When you run your EOS meeting, you're behaving as a unifier. What would it take to move into communication in that same meeting? Well, it means that you make people feel something, that you move their heart, that you're really seeing them, that you're present, right? That you're more careful and choreographed with how you structure stuff. And, of course, carving out time to dream again is a whole
Mhm.
other 30-minute conversation.
Yeah. No, but you're exact. It's so important. Like I remember we would go around and we would get in a circle in our meetings, and I would go around and I would fist bump everybody, right? And then I would notice somebody's new pair of shoes, and I would compliment them, right? And it's
That's
all
marketing.
about what you're saying is like
Yeah.
the feeling, right? You're doing things that nobody else has done before, and then those are the people who are like, dude, who was your best boss? Like when I'm in interviews, I'm like, who's your best boss? They're like, oh yeah, it was this guy. I was like, why? Because the way he made me feel.
Yes. Ooh,
So important.
that's the mic drop moment of the whole thing right there. Everything, just to keep quoting Myron, he said, people only ever do something for one reason, and it's because they feel like it. So when you look at sales or getting your behavior to change with your employees, it's not about getting the result that you want. It's about creating an atmosphere using your words and nonverbal signals and the structure and all the choreography you can, using your cleverness and your intelligence to create a situation where people feel like taking the action that they need to take. That's really what it's all about. You do so much marketing, Pat, and that's why we say everything is marketing. You're marketing to your kids. You're marketing through this podcast. You're marketing your beliefs and values, your relationship with God, the story, the insane story that you had. You guys are like a radio transmitting tower of life and of hope and of belief, and that's why you crush it. Some people have that in them too, but they're holding back. They feel uncomfortable. Who am I? No town elder anointed me and gave me permission to show up powerfully in my team meeting. Did you know I had a Christmas party, an annual Christmas party for my cleaning company when I had one employee?
Yes.
I had an awards ceremony. The guy's face turned beet red, and I stood up and announced every award. He won them all because he's the only one. So, but as silly as that sounds, it's a mindset. It's a way of thinking, right? That guy was with me for years,
Yep. And that's how it is. You know what I mean? And we did the same thing. It was like, I had 2 employees. I was like, nope, bring all the family, make it bigger, right? Get the vision. You know what I mean? Get them to really feel that this is something that is going to be, speak it into existence.
That's right, man. So
So
true.
good. Dude, I appreciate you, man. I think we're going to end it on that note. We're right up on time. And man, that's the way to end it right there. That's so good. So, guys watching, go back, you know what I mean? Share this out. So much stuff there. I know we had a bunch of people in the comments. They're like, dude, I hate I missed it, but you guys can catch the recording. Josh has so much. And these are those times, dude. Like, I remember being at your house, man, and we would go hang out in the movie theater and just like talking with you was like, boom, mind blowing, the little things. So,
Thank you. I
no, I
appreciate you,
appreciate
Pat. I love you, your wife, your kids are crazy and amazing, just like you. And I just want to eat popcorn and watch you change the world, my brother. And hopefully this is helpful. Happy to do it anytime.
Right back at you. But no, thanks for being on. Everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight with Community with Closers. We will see you next week, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again, Josh.
My pleasure, Pat.
See you.